Hey guys, we just got back from XXX Return of Xander Cage, and holy hell, this film is ridiculous on every single level. Whether it be its ridiculously stupid stunts or ridiculously stupid jokes, everything on this film completely fails, except for the action.
Yeah, this movie is so stupid that you actually kind of love it a little bit. Like, the whole movie, you're just laughing at it. The jokes fail. The characters are, like, so bland. But, oh my gosh, so stupid.
Okay, so this whole film revolves around the God Eye. It is basically the exact. Oh, sorry. God Eye. God's Eye is the thing from Fast and Furious 7, which is exactly what this film is. It is a recycled plot of Fast and Furious 7, without the team and more Vin Diesel just going, I'm big, and I got big guns, and I'm big Mr. Strongman. That is this whole film, like, summed up. The opening credits. Now, the beginning of this film, me and Farmer were sitting there, and all these companies had come up. And I looked over at Farmer and I said, I've never heard of a single one of these companies. Not a single one. I looked them up, and they had never really made a big budget film before.
Except Paramount. Was that on it?
No, Paramount wasn't at all.
No, it was some movie company I'd heard before.
I'm not 100%, but it was everything. It was alarms were going off, and I was like, oh, why would they go to these really small companies if this film's going to be good? So the film then opens to this really shitty montage of it was like this really loud rock music just playing in the background as we like zoom in on all the intricate parts of all these different satellites, and then satellites falling out of the sky, and then we cut to Samuel Jackson, and he's just sitting in a restaurant eating noodles at 7:30 in the morning with Neymar, because that's a really key important part of this film.
I thought he was talking to us, because, like, Neymar's just left of the camera, and I thought he was having a conversation to us, and he was just talking out of his ass.
Yeah, basically. So then we just then cut to the satellite falling, crushing, and then killing everyone in the restaurant. It falls only after Neymar does this thing where he gets a box of tissues and like drops it and kicks it and hits this gunman in the head, and Samuel Jackson's like, yo! Samuel Jackson's just like, yep, you can be on my cool XXX team, and everyone's like, haha, this is funny. And then the satellite comes down and kills both of them. You're like, well, that's, okay, cool one, guys. And then...
Now, after the Samuel Jackson scene, it cuts to this government tower, and there's a bunch of people wearing suits talking about this God's Eye device tablet that can hack into anything and bring down satellites, because there's like 3,000 satellites in this movie. Anyways, he runs in, and that's where you get the Donnie Yen killing everyone in the table, using kung fu and karate and shooting everyone, and then that's it. They just run away, and then they steal the tablet.
We are then introduced to XXX, who's just climbing a radio tower for the fun of it, and he steals this box. You're like, ooh, this is getting a bit of tension, you know? And then
it's from the trailer. It's where he's just standing up on that tower
box
with the metal box that he stole from this satellite. And then he's got the ski things, and he just jumps. And he somehow softly lands on the dirt, and he's like skiing through. And then he takes off the skis, and he's got the skateboard. And he's like going through all these cars, and everyone's like cheering him on and like high-fiving. He's holding this car while steering, but then he leaves the car because apparently he's going faster.
Like, I don't get it. Like, he stops. After the skis, he stops and grabs his skateboard for a bunch of kids that are all cheering him on. When, like, I don't know, maybe just get a car or a motorbike. It's probably going to be a lot faster than a goddamn skateboard. Like, yeah, he's going downhill. It's a pretty cool scene. Or he's got his glove and he's doing, like, the downhill racing. I was like, yeah, that's pretty radical, bro. Mm-hmm. Like, no brains or anything. It's pretty radical. But, like, a car would have made a lot more sense, buddy.
But then you get the, also from the trailer, the skateboard off the side of the bus.
Oh my god! Everyone in the cinema was just laughing. Not at how cool it was, just how ridiculously stupid it was. It was like, he just goes, yeah, I'll just turn off gravity for a second, and then he just, along the side of the bus, just pissing ourselves laughing.
It was as if the skateboard was, like, stuck to his shoes. And then he finally gets to the bottom of the hill. He jumps off the skateboard, he runs, he almost trips over. Did you see that?
Oh no, he like jumps off the
He
board.
stumbles on the train track. I was like, ooh, that was awkward.
What are you doing, Vin Diesel? But like the whole time this scene's happening, he keeps checking his phone, and it's
DEFCON 1.
DEFCON 1.
Countdown.
It's a countdown, and like that's the whole point of the scene. He's like, "Oh crap, we got to race against time," and he plugs in this box, all these mechanical things, and then everyone in the village gets TV,
Satellite.
gets
Soccer game.
Yep. And everyone starts cheering him on. And at this point, I realized, my God, what have I put myself into? So after we're introduced to Big Muscles Vin Diesel, then he gets recruited by this chick after there's this bomb, and he's like, this is funny, I'm not gonna get recruited, I'm too cool for that. And she's like, oh, but he was your friend, you have to blah, blah, blah. This is the chick earlier in the film who's just, like, her emotional spectrum is, like, from a piece of rock, like a rock to a piece of paper. Like, that is it. That's as far as she varies. She's got the same expression on her face. Even after they recruit Vin Diesel and he kills, like, 7 of her best men. Well, not kills, but ejects them out the back of a plane. She just goes, why did you do that? That was her expression. Like,
It's so boring watching this character, and then in the same cargo plane, which that's where he gets taken, you meet the female equivalent of Jar Jar Binks. I kid you not. She walks in and you've got typical. This chick reminded me of who's the girl from Arrow? Felicity. This chick reminds me of Felicity. She's just so cliche, never shuts up, but there's not a single laugh that comes out of you while watching this girl.
Like, she just fumbles around and, like, mumbling and cracking really, really bad jokes and apologizing and stuff. And there's a scene later in the film, which is the funniest scene in the film. Like, I mean, it is so funny because of how absolutely stupid it was. We'll talk about that a bit later. That's towards, like, the last 10 minutes of the film or something. I don't know. I couldn't keep track. I was hoping the film would ended, like, an hour early.
Alright, and then after Vin Diesel, Vin Diesel kicks all the soldier guys out. He's like, we need a new crew. And that's when you meet his friends. You got this crazy beard guy who like just likes getting in car crashes. This sniper girl with like green hair who you meet like about to snipe a line where you find out she's just sniping the hunters, and that was pretty cool. And then the last guy is just some DJ Asian guy who does not do a single thing throughout the entire movie.
Like, at one part of the film, he is used as a distraction by turning the volume up a bit louder. That was it. And then because of that, everyone starts dancing because, you know, he turned the music up. So everyone starts dancing, so Dominic Toretto or whatever he's... Yeah, Fast and Furious, big beef-headed bloke doesn't get stabbed by an Asian with spiky blonde hair. So as... what's his name?
Vin Diesel.
Yeah, Vin Diesel as flying over with his crew to the island. We then cut to the island for it was about 45 seconds or something, and we introduced the villains who are just good guys at heart. Don't worry, they're all nice guys. Who was the guy from Rogue One? Was his name?
Donnie Yen, the actor's name.
Yeah,
I don't
Donnie
actually
Yen.
know his name because these aren't real characters, people.
Yeah,
they're just assassins.
Exactly, they're just mindless idiots, like almost everyone. We introduced to him and his Indian lady friend who is just like, we have to destroy the Pandora's box, that was his name? Or God's Eye, whatever you want to call it, you know, it's basically the exact same. He's like, oh, we have to destroy it. He's like, no, we're going to use this to get what we've always wanted. That's all we ever find out. He never explains in the film what it is they want. They're just going to use it. That's it. Like, I thought maybe towards the end of the film you'd find out it was so that he could destroy some companies or something cool, like roguish like he is. Nah, we never ever find out.
Alright, and then you get the poker kind of them sitting in the table from the trailer where they're holding the grenade, but apparently a grenade doesn't work like that. It's if you pull the pin and then release the trigger, it flicks off and then the timer is going to go off no matter what. These people were like flicking some switch to turn off the timer every time they picked it up, and they were just talking, and it did not make sense why there was a grenade there.
you don't understand why they're doing it. They just sit down and Donnie Yen just throws a grenade at him. He's like, "Oh, I'm Big Diesel, I gotta play," and then he just grabs a grenade, and then, you know, Russians arrive for you never find out why. There's just Russian militia just arrive, and then Vin Diesel starts making jokes that are really bad and calling all the Russians just random names, like, haha, your name's Vladimir, and haha, you're Sven, and then he's giving hand signals, weird ass things with both of his hands to Ruby Rose, the sniper chick who's in the tree, wrapped up like a mummy, and he's like, go, and then she starts shooting, and just crap's just flying everywhere. People are screaming. The big guy, he's sitting in the boat. He's been real useful, and then he's like, X said I can't. I gotta stay in the boat, and that's used for a joke later down the line, which is just as bad as everything else.
And then after, because they're just trying to get the Pandora's box, but you find out that the thing they were chasing for was just a prototype that could only hack one satellite. And they realize this after the spectacular motorcycle race in the trailer. They're running, and then they get on these dirt bikes, and then they jump into the water, and then while they're in midair, they flick a switch, and then you see the CGI platforms come from underneath the bike, and they start driving. Oh, also the people who are in this chase, it's Vin Diesel and Donnie Yen. And then probably the second funniest scene in this movie is when they're on the waves and Vin Diesel's bike dives down, and he just revs that thing, and it just keeps working, and it goes back up. It doesn't sink, it just goes back up.
Even though your average motorcycle getting that much water, being completely submerged in the water, would probably, not function as that much water in the engine, would probably do a bit of damage, but this is Vin Diesel universe where physics just do not exist. He's like, yeah, if I just rev it, it'll float, even though, motorcycles are pretty heavy, and in that action sequences, you see he picks it up and spins it and hits these random Russians and crap, and then for some reason it floats to the top, and then eventually they do get the box as Donnie Yen gets away, and Vin Diesel's holding it. He's like, yeah, I got the big box. And then the Indian lady, she just shoots her, and he goes, ow, why'd you do that for? And then find out, no, it wasn't that. And Jar Jar Binks says, no, Missa, it's not the right one, it's the prototype. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. And then they got to go find the other one, which, after 3 minutes of thinking about it, they find out who the actual guy is. It's orchestrating this whole thing, who's from the government. So one of the decent action sequences in this film, which was actually pretty disappointing at the same time, so there's Donnie Yen's crew who had tapped into what's his name?
Conversation.
Yeah, Xander Cage and all the people up in the plane, the big plane that's it's big military plane. He taps into their conversation, so then they're both going to Detroit. And then they both get stuck in traffic, and they both just get out, and they all start chasing each other and ramming their cars into each other and crap. And then there is this really ridiculously stupid scene. So Xander Cage, Donnie Yen, jumps over the balcony of a highway thing, just down, it's a good, how far would you say? 15 feet or something, 20 feet?
Yeah.
He falls all that way, and then just by chance, just happens to land on a truck. And then Xander Cage decides, I'll just fight this one random, villain that we don't know his name. I don't think you ever find his name in the film. He has a brother in the beginning that he kills with a book. That was it.
That was his brother?
That was his brother. He said, remember, brother, you're going to try and kill me with a book. He's got a really bad Scottish accent. So then he jumps, Xander Cage fights that guy and just hits him a bit. And then he decides, he cracks a really bad joke by saying, I'm going to use you as a ramp. So instead of jumping over a balcony that'd be up to about, I don't know, not even your waist height, he makes this guy into a ramp and then jumps off his shoulders and falls over the balcony as well. But guess what? There's another truck, and he lands on that truck, and he's completely fine, and then they jump between trucks, and that's just really stupid. There's a couple car crashes, and they all survive. No one gets injured in this film. No one, except for the bad guys. But we don't care about them, all right? No one cares about them.
You do get those spectacular scenes where they fall from outer space and they land and they Oh, they got a little scratch on their forehead. They got a boo-boo. And then, after that little car crash where I think they both get hit by cars, and also none of them have a gun on them. They like fight hand to hand. They can't just pull out a gun, shoot the other. If they're really enemies, then why didn't they do that?
Like, it was ridiculous. And then after this huge big fight sequence where they're chasing each other, they become friends. There's like, they get in this hallway staircase, and there's a guy on the top level, which is like protecting the senator guy who has the, I can't even remember its name, Pandora's box.
Yeah.
He's got that thing, he's protecting it in a room full of these heaters for some reason.
I didn't realize what they were. I thought they were satellites.
Oh, you never find out why he's got the heaters on. Like, yeah, it's used as a
do.
complication. What, because of the heat signature thing?
Yeah.
But I just thought that was just by coincidence or something. I mean, it's just really hot. Whatever. So, they're in a staircase, and there's a guy on the top floor who's got a pistol. He's protecting this guy with the most dangerous piece of equipment on the planet with a pistol.
One guy.
Yep, one guy.
And also, when they're down the staircases, they do this thing where, because he just shoots at any time they put their hand in down the staircase. And so instead of the guy just, not shooting and waiting until he gets a clear shot, he just keeps on shooting, wastes all his bullets until he has to reload, and then Vin Diesel or Xander Cage come from behind him and then kills him. They confront the senator, and that's where you get this cool sniper scene where the green-haired chick,
she can't get a clear shot because the senator guy is like, I'm going to put heaters everywhere, so heat signature doesn't work. So Vin Diesel, he's got an earpiece in talking to her, and then earlier in the film, he makes this one throwaway line called...
read between the lines.
Yeah, read between the lines, and like he points at his three fingers. So then Xander Cage, who's got his hands up against like his head because the senator's got a gun and doesn't shoot him, he's got to reveal his master plan and not shoot the good guy. No, can't do that. Vin Diesel keeps walking away until he gets near a window where the heaters are. So then she sees his heat signature, and he says, read between the lines, and he puts the fingers up against his head, and she shoots
through the gap, and then shoots the guy in the head.
Yeah, like, the bullet would be pretty big. Like, it looked like it was at least a 50 cal round.
He felt it. He was like,
Yeah, he says, because it, like, must have singed his finger, because, like, well, your finger wouldn't be as wide as a 50 millimeter round, so it would have probably, like, taken a bit of meat out of both of his fingers, but no, he's okay. Nothing wrong. He's alright. So then they finally get the mother box, and then, well, there's a big plot twist, guys. This is a huge plot twist.
You see this at least a mile away, you figure out, oh, wait, it's the blonde government lady who then turns on them and then captures them, and they bring them back up on the cargo plane, and they send all these Mexican guys on the rest of the crew.
So now, while all this is happening, like, there's the team on the ground, which consists of everyone except for Xander Cage and, what's his name? Donnie Yen. They're all fighting, and then the blonde lady decides she's going to take Vin Diesel and Donnie Yen up into the plane, and then she shoots him 3 times in the chest, even though she probably knew he was wearing bulletproof armor, because, like, I know, in the first, 40 minutes of the film, Jar Jar Binks puts a bulletproof vest on him and, squeezes him a bit tight, and he's like, ugh, kinky. It was just completely weird and awkward. Even though the whole time that she was shooting him in the chest, I kept looking at Fireman saying, just shoot him in the head. Just shoot him in the head.
She was right in front of him.
You couldn't have got much further away. It would have only been about 2 feet different, 3 feet, 4 feet difference between them. And she just didn't shoot him in the head. He hit, shot him 3 times, he hits the ground. I was like, okay, cool, he's down, shoot him in the head. Just shoot him in the head. Kill him. And then surprise, surprise, he's not dead, because everyone in the audience thought he might have been dead. It was a big shock twist. So then Donnie Yen and Vin Diesel fight through heaps of these enemies, and then one guy who butts heads with Vin Diesel for 2 seconds in the beginning of the film gets these power gauntlet things which makes him punch harder and faster. It's really dumb. And then the beginning of the film, Vin Diesel says, oh, I'm going to flush you down the toilet. And then everyone was like, it's just a throwaway line. And then they blow up the toilet, and then the guy goes down the toilet. And I was like, Jesus Christ, I was just disappointed. So then Donnie Yen, the blonde lady, who they've set this movie up for a sequel, 100%, because Donnie Yen ties a parachute cable around the blonde lady's foot, and she gets shot out the back of the plane. and then she's just like falling upside down. You never see her again. But I'm thinking, like, I was like,
No way
sequel.
she died.
Yeah, she was.
Especially when you can fall from outer space and survive in this world.
Oh, exactly.
No physics, right?
Yeah. So then Donnie Yen, he gets a parachute. He jumps out. He's okay, and then the satellite, like, because this is what the device does. The device can sync satellites for some unknown reason. Listen to everyone's calls. It's basically the best piece of technology on the planet. And you never find out who made it. They have one comment that just says, "Oh, it was made by some 20-year-old rich smart kid in Los Angeles." That's it. That is it. Now I was just like, what the shit? Like, shouldn't this kid be a huge part of this film? No. So then, as the satellite's falling on top of Vin Diesel's crew, he's like, "Oh, I've got to come up with a plan to stop it from falling," because Jar Jar with the computer is basically like, "No, it's too late. We can't stop it." So then he goes, "I know what I'm going to do." And he flies the jumbo jet into a falling satellite. Doesn't think that, well, maybe if this thing crashes into the satellite, there's going to be more debris falling from the sky than there would have been if it was just a satellite. I don't know, like maybe he's just like can't think or anything. I don't know. It was just stupid. So he then, like, just by coincidence, the satellite happened to be falling only a couple hundred meters away from where he was currently flying. So he flies it into the satellite. Satellite blows up, so does the ship, and then there's the scene from the trailer where he's running through the ship and he just jumps and he's falling until he finds like a piece of cargo with like a parachute tied to it. So then while that piece of cargo is falling a couple thousand kilometers per hour, he just jumps on top of it, like falling without a parachute, like in air, gets on top of it, activates the secondary chute, slows it down a bit, not much, it's still falling really, really fast. He's standing on top of the cargo thing. It hits the ground, and he's perfectly fine. He gets up off of it after, like, you see the cargo thing explode, like, with just crap flying everywhere, and then his crew just, like, drive up right next to it, and he just walks out of the smoke, and he's like, "I'm okay, guys." And he has, I shit you not, a little scratch just above his left eyebrow. It's like, it doesn't even look like a scratch. It looks like someone just smudged a little bit of like red crayon in his forehead. Like, that's it.
Also, while this is going on, the main crew is being pursued by the massive army of Russian army dudes, and they're just continually shooting at them, and they're like in this warehouse, and I can vouch for this scene, because I'm an action guy. I love action, and it is very good. Like, it's repetitive like crazy, but it's good. You get that scene from the trailer where the two girls with the two handguns just cutting down enemies. They're just shooting. And it's just awesome. And then the Jar Jar Binks, she's running towards this power socket to plug the gadget that can somehow disarm the God's Eye. But obviously it doesn't work. And this army guy runs towards her, and she picks up this little Uzi thing. And at first she shoots him, and then two other guys come in, and she's like freaking out. I'm pretty sure she like drops the gun. She runs, trips, and drops the gun. And this gun, I kid you not, continues to fire and kill the guys. It like,
fuck's sake!
It jumps up, and that's where I got the idea to call her Jar Jar Binks, because it just reminded me so much of that episode 1 scene. After that, they get backed into a corner and surrounded by the Russian army guys, and then Ice Cube comes out with a grenade launcher and blows them all up. And they all, ha ha ha, happy ending. And that's when Vin Diesel crashes down, and that's pretty much the movie.
So after all this, and everyone is completely fine, no one gets injured. Oh, the big guy, the Hound from Game of Thrones, he gets shot twice, but no, don't worry. You don't see any pain or expression on his face. He, like, winces when he gets shot. He gets shot one in the butt, because, you know, they had to put a butt joke in there somewhere. And he gets shot in the shoulder. There's no blood, no nothing. There is less blood in this film than there was in Assassin's Creed. And Assassin's Creed had, like, a drizzle dripping down from the chick's mum, Cal's mum, whatever. So then the film ends with Samuel Jackson's character's funeral. All these people singing, the Hound, like the big guy, he's singing as well. He's actually a pretty good singer, I'll give him that. So the singing, and then there's Vin Diesel, he's sitting up in the top part of the church. And surprise, surprise, there's Samuel L. Jackson. He's completely fine. There is not a single scratch or scar on him, even though a satellite dropped on the building he was in. He's completely fine. He has a pair of glasses on. And I think they just did this to make a really crappy Nick Fury joke, but he had the glasses on. One of them over his right eye didn't have a lens in it at all. The one in the left eye was black, and everyone was like, ha ha ha, he's like Nick Fury now. Even though you actually see, for a couple seconds, like, his eye through the glasses, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, you'd think maybe his eye was missing, or like, it had gone white, like he's blind in it. Nothing was wrong with his eye. They just put it in there for no reason whatsoever.
And that's I think the end of the movie. Yeah, just he looks at Neymar Jr. He's like, yeah, this is my new recruitment, and then that's just pretty much set up for the sequel. You don't get a extra scene with the blonde government lady, and then that's it. Well, that's why I think this movie deserves a 5 out of 10.
Farmer, I can see why you'd give it a 5. Like, some of the action was pretty good, but Jar Jar Binks, man, she killed it for me. I have to give this movie a 4. Like, better than Assassin's Creed in the way its action was relatively better. Didn't keep chopping and changing to the fucking future. It was good, but everything else was just rubbish. Like, absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, this movie was pretty much made for 12-year-olds. It was just girls, bit of sex, violence, guns, action, little blood, and little logic.
Yeah, little logic. Oh, guys, this film is ridiculous in every way. You can laugh at the film. For that, like, I would recommend seeing it only if you're going to see it with a group of friends. Because of the fact you can laugh at this film. You will have fun with this film. I laughed more in this film than I did with most comedies. Because it's fun to laugh at it, right? Like, not as funny as Batman and Robin with Batnips. Like, not that level of it's so bad it's good. But it is funny, alright? Alright, guys, I'm Mossy.
And Farmer.
And this is Magnanimous. See yous.